This is like this. If you can see it, this is like a honey jar, and this just has, I don't know, maybe a few hundred or 1,000 fish pepper seeds. And I saved them last season, and I just put them in a jar, and I have them like on the shelf. This right here is like some watermelon seeds from last year as well, like a watermelon that I had that was like super good, and I was like, I gotta grow this again. Or I gotta grow this. I bought it from somebody, so I just saved them in this jar. And I use glass jars a lot. So this right here is, I went to Trinidad last year, and I was able to bring back some seeds. And these are some Bodhi, a long bean, and there's like some okra seeds sprinkled mixed in there too. So it's like kind of exactly what Josie said. It's pretty simple. And I think the best way to think of it is like you're forming a relationship with the plants that you're growing. So you're learning like the life cycle of the plants, right? And so one thing, I took some notes yesterday, and some things I think that are important is to know like the plants that you're growing, are they going to be like annuals, or are they going to be biennials, right? So your annual plants are your tomatoes, your watermelons, your peppers, your beans. Those things, you'll be able to save those in the same season that you started them, right? So you'll be able to kind of get those seeds. So your tomatoes, and I'll give an example of just how you would save the seeds of tomatoes a little bit later. Tomatoes, you plant your seedling at the end of the season, you'll be able to save those. All your biennials, your collard greens, your carrots and things of that nature, they'll need 2 seasons until you start seeing the flower. And so your collard greens, or all your vegetables in the brassica family, they need like a point to go through, like a point of like being cold. I think it's called like vernalization or something like that. So they need a season of being cold, and then come the spring, you'll start seeing the flowers. Like Josie said, bees will pollinate them. You'll see the seed kind of cases. They'll dry out. You'll be able to save those seeds. So, like for this, for the food or for the seed bank that's being created, you don't even have to, stress yourself about the collard greens and the kale. You can kind of plant those. The ones that are doing good, you can pick some greens. The ones that taste good, they're doing the best. They don't have any pests, no diseases. You might just let those continue to grow and just leave them over there, forget about them. And then you come back in 2021, around this time, they'll have flowers. So that's one thing. Another thing I think that's important when you're thinking about seed keeping, depending on the plant, is like, what's your purpose? So for me, like something I do on the side, I make hot sauce. I make hot sauce like from a particular pepper called the fish pepper. And Josie had a beautiful picture of it in her presentation. So I want to kind of keep the fish pepper like as pure as possible. And I don't want it to like cross with any other peppers that are in that same species, right? And so you want to make sure that you, and this is all up to you. If you're trying to keep like the genetics as like pure as possible, as kind of close to truest type as you can get, you're going to want to isolate them from other peppers and other peppers within that species. And so that'll take some time to do like some research, right? And so you'll figure out maybe your bell pepper might be in the same family as the fish pepper. So bell peppers and fish peppers, it's a potential that they could cross, you know what I mean? And then those seeds that you get might be could potentially be like some type of hybrid of those two. So that's something to think about if you want to kind of keep that in there. But you have to do some research on like on the species. And so, peppers are in the nightshade family, same family as like potatoes and tomatoes and tobacco and eggplant. But then under that category, there's like different species of peppers. And so you have to do like just a little bit of research just to figure that out. But if that's not a concern of yours, just rock and roll with it and just do what you do. And if you want to just play around and just let nature take its course and get all types of funny crosses. Yeah. And so I saw somebody say something about how far you should space it. From the stuff that I've read and stuff that I've been told, some people say 500 feet. So that might not be realistic for like, depending on where you are. If you have that kind of space, that makes sense. But if you don't have that kind of space, you might be able to partner up with somebody in your community. You grow one variety, they grow another variety. So, but you can do some research. But from what I've seen or what I've read, is 500 feet. And let me see what other key points that I want to. Also, yeah, just to kind of veggie back off what Josie said about the hybrids. The hybrids, when you get your seed packs from Johnny's or wherever, hybrids, if they don't say hybrid, they'll say like F1 on there, so you can know that it's a hybrid. And to continue on what she was saying, the hybrids are crossed. So if you save those, if you want to experiment and save those, it's just going to be like a roll of the dice on what you're going to get, because it's a combination of like two different plants. So it might be some of the mother, it might be some of the father, this one. So it's up in the air. So you can save hybrids, but it's not like, you just don't know what you're going to get. So we're going to jump right into it. So kind of like continue on what Josie said. There's some people say 3 different ways to save your seeds. You have the dry way of saving seeds. And this is just like okra. And I just let it sit on the plant and it's dry and the seeds are inside. You have your kind of wet way, which is similar to what Josie said. Your peppers can fall in the wet or dry. And then you have your fermentation. And so we'll start with the dry first, which is, I would say, is pretty easy. Essentially, all you have to do as you're growing your okra, you clip off a few pieces. You taste the okra. You're like, man, this is banging okra. It tastes amazing. There's no bugs on it messing with it. It looks beautiful. Like, this is the plant that I want to grow again next year. So you want to pick out the best one that's doing the best, or the few plants that are doing the best. You can let the plant stay there to the end of the season until they get long. Everybody, I'm assuming folks who eat okra, they know once it gets long like this, you're not going to want to eat it anyway. You want to catch your okra fast when it's nice and short and it's tender. So once it gets long like this, you're not going to want to eat it. You can let it sit on the plant. You can let it dry there on the plant. And essentially all the seeds, and hopefully everyone can see this, all the seeds are inside. So, this is an okra seed that we just harvested from inside. Boom, it's dry. You can leave it inside there until you want to plant it or start it off yourself. That's like the plant becomes its own shell casing in a way. So throw it into a jar and you're ready to rock and roll. So that's as simple as that. And like Josie said, so your beans, okra, for sure are super simple, and you don't even have to overthink it. Let me see what's next. So your peppers. One thing that I learned the hard way with peppers, definitely with your hot peppers, and this is just for making hot sauce, you want to wear gloves. I know it sounds, it's like something you don't think about, but when I first started making hot sauce and pepper jelly, I was so excited. I was just cutting the fish peppers open, with my bare hands, hyped up about myself, what I accomplished. And I was, went to bed, rubbing my eyes. And like 2 minutes later, I was on fire. So like, you want to wear gloves, just protect yourself. Also, with your hot peppers, you might want to do it outside. The capsicum oil is strong and it's pungent. And so if you're washing your pepper seeds inside, you're washing it in some hot water or something, or any kind of water, that steam and that oil can kind of go and spread around the whole house. And next thing you know, you like bombed your whole house. Everybody. And if you live, you have roommates or you have a partner or whatever, everybody's going to be mad at you. So I've been there as well. So just for this quick example, I'm going to throw a glove on. And peppers are relatively easy as well. And this is the way we do it. I typically take off the stem. I cut the pepper open. Cut it open. As you can see, obviously the seeds are on the inside. Typically I have like a few, 3, 4, 5 pounds of fish peppers. So I would put them in a blender, and I started putting them in a blender, and I would kind of tap the blender just to separate the seeds from the skin. And then I would put it in water, rinse it out, and put it in a, figure out a way to kind of strain them and separate them. But for this, you cut it open. I would typically put it on a piece of paper, a paper towel or something like that. Let them dry. I let them dry first, and then I rinse them off. You can do it either way, but peppers are super simple. So cut it open. Make sure you have your gloves. And this is for hot peppers. Make sure you have your gloves. Make sure you have your proper protection. Cut them open. Put them into some type of strainer, some type of paper towel. You can rinse them and spread them out. I let them air dry in the backyard or something like that. You might want to put something, kind of protective covering on there. So if any, birds or anything like that might be interested in them, they won't pick it off. They won't, take your peppers from you. But it's pretty super simple. Same thing for bell peppers. I think another thing that Josie said that's very important, and you want to, of course, pick you can only save the seeds from your fruits and your vegetables that are mature, so some stuff like okra, we eat it when it's immature. Watermelons, of course, we eat them when they're ripe. So when we eat our watermelons, you can spit those seeds out and save them. With bell peppers, some people like green bell peppers. And so bell peppers that are green are just immature bell peppers that are going on. They're eventually going to turn red or yellow or purple or another color. So you will want to let those peppers mature and be patient. And so another thing about seed keeping is it's like a patience game as well. Just letting things mature on their own. And so for the last kind of example, I actually already started this morning. I was up early, kind of hype about the workshop, is tomato fermentation. And so this is just a glass jar that I've cut kind of the example that Josie was talking about. I cut a tomato open. Tomatoes have all the seeds on the inside. And you can just kind of squeeze it into the glass jar. Just get it all in there. This is a fun project for kids, kind of get it all in there. And of course, kind of what we were saying before, you want to get your best tomatoes, your juiciest tomatoes, the tomatoes that you didn't have any blight, you didn't have anything. They just were amazing. Those are the ones that you want to save for 2021. And so essentially what I would do, you could use a knife, but if your tomatoes, if it's, you're able to kind of squeeze it with your hand, you can do that too. Depends on how messy you want to get. You can cut it open. And let it all go into the jar. You would, after you do that, exactly what Josie just said, put a little bit of water over top of it. You'll put a paper towel or some cheesecloth on top of it. Put it in the cut somewhere. You want to make sure the temperature is, between 70 and 80. Come back, check on it every day. And like she said, your nose will know, when the fermentation process is going down. You'll be able to see it. It'll be like a covering over everything, and you'll be ready to rock and roll. You can take it off. The good seeds are going to sink to the bottom. The seeds that are no good will float to the top. The gel that's around, just like Josie said, the gel that's around the tomato seeds is just to stop the seeds. It's to protect the seeds. Essentially, nature is like protecting the seeds. And so one quote that a guy named Eugene from Atlanta told me that always stuck with me. He told me the best way, the number one best way to save seeds is to grow them, So we can keep, but we have to grow the seeds, and they'll reproduce, and they'll continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. If anybody wants to get super deep into the game, these are two books. You could kind of, if you want to get into the weeds, and this is more for large scale. If you're trying to start a seed business or something, or if you're trying to do seed keeping or seed saving on a large scale, there's that one, and then there's this one right here, and they have a lot of information, and they break down each vegetable family and each plant, and kind of go into spacing and life cycle and best practices and all that type of stuff. So